jobs that are out there. What are your friends? Your friends who are working, what are they doing? Where are they finding that first job? Anybody?
Most of my friends that are working in supermarkets and bodegas, as we like to call it, they usually have connections to get in those jobs.
So fast food restaurants, maybe that's the job that's available for you guys. But even those, again, as Jonathan said, other people who are not necessarily high school students are now in need of jobs. So there's less jobs for you guys. Is that what you're experiencing, Mabel?
Yeah, it's also a very competitive field. So many people go there for it to be their first job, like let's say McDonald's or Burger King.
Right.
And it's difficult for us because we also have needs. Our parents, most of them are very economically stable. So for like, let's say senior year, we feel like we deserve it and we can actually have fun because we don't have the money to
You want to have a little money of your own that you don't
Exactly.
depend on your parents from.
Exactly.
Yeah. You want to say something, Karen?
I think it's mainly because some jobs aren't willing or they don't feel like they have the time to train people that don't have the experience, which I think is bad because every time I fill out a job application for somewhere, the section that usually says prior work experience, I always have to leave blank. And I feel that since there's nothing there, they usually just overlook me because I have no experience.
Do they ask like for references maybe?
Yeah.
And do they call the references? Does that help?
Well, if you have no job references,
No,
for
but,
them to call.
but it could be your professor, it
Oh.
could be your teacher, it could be somebody who knows you personally and say, hey, this is a good person, you should give her a try. Jonathan?
In the past, I was an intern. Although it was unpaid, it was almost the same extensive work as a teacher because I was actually a tutor for first graders. And I considered it a job because it required me to be on time, to look at the first graders in such a way as the same as a teacher. But would I feel confident to go into, for example, a restaurant and say that I do have prior experience? I think not, because education and just working behind the counter or serving food is different. So as for the recommendations, I don't think it's going to be any good.
All right, let's move on to another issue because we have a whole list of things that we want to talk about here. And these, again, are the issues that hopefully are the issues that concern people like you, the youth of the Bronx. And one of the things that you guys, some of you guys were really adamant about this issue was gender and the sort of like discrimination that goes on in a lot of minority homes, especially minority homes, where the girls say that, hey, why do the guys go out and get to play ball and we have to stay home to babysit? And so is there discrimination against women or young women because you guys end up having to do all the babysitting and on the house chores? Who wants to speak? Mabel.
I think I personally go through it sometimes, where my brother could go out party and I have to stay home and take care of my baby sister. I think it usually happens in very traditional households where I guess the parents were raised that same way and I guess they're disciplined so they feel that it's the same way they should discipline their children. But of course we are in a new generation and it's kind of difficult when, let's say in New York, compared to the Dominican Republic, people have more freedom because they get to play outside. And we can't do that. We have to be stuck home, and especially the females, we have to stay home and cook and clean while the brother or let's say like whichever male is in the house, they get to do whatever they want.
Let's find out from the guys. Do you guys ever babysit? Do you guys ever wash the dishes? Who wants to speak on this subject?
Well, I honestly believe that the gender roles are equal, because if the male goes out to play ball, that's his problem. He should be working to maintain the household. Not since we're young, we don't actually have to pay taxes or light bill or anything, but we could at least help pay.
Okay, Beatriz, you want to say something about this?
I was gonna say something different because I'm an only child and I live with just my dad.
Yes.
And I often find myself arguing with him because I'm like, do you want a daughter or do you want a maid? Because sometimes he gets mad at me because he's like, most of the time you're not at home. And I'm like, it's not that I don't want to be home. It's just that right now I want to focus on school, maybe hang out with my friends. I don't have a job either. So if I'm not at school, I'm hanging out with my friends. And I'm like, I'm not going to stay home. what, you want me to clean the house from head to toe every day? And I'm like, I know you need help cooking, or you want me to do the dishes, but sometimes, like, I argue with him because if he he asks, oh, do you want to do the dishes? One day I can say, oh yeah, sure, and then the next day if I say no, he gets upset. So I'm like, so as long as I say yes, you're happy, but if I say no, you get upset at me.
So what's your father going to say when he watches this program?
He's probably gonna laugh because he's like, you know, it's true. Like, sometimes he agrees with me, but other times it's just like it's upsetting. I mean, I don't know what it is with girls that have a brother, so they have to compete with that. But to some girls, I think it is frustrating when, as a girl, most common times you hear your parents say you have to clean, you have to mop, you have to do the dishes, you have to cook, and then, you know, it's not just that. You know, guys could learn to cook too. They could help their mom. They could, you know.
And you don't think that happens very often?
I mean, I hear a lot of that complaint around my school, but I think it is common.